Hi there, my name is Anais and I'm a solutions architect here at DBT Labs. In this video, we're going to cover how to set up a DBT Cloud project for the first time. This video is meant for DBT Cloud administrators, so if you're not an admin, this video is not for you. At this point, you have likely done the following: configured permissions in Snowflake to be able to use DBT, and created an initial repository that we will use for managing DBT code in GitHub. Before we get started, let's open up a few tabs here to make connecting DBT to Snowflake and Git a lot easier. We're going to have one tab for DBT Cloud, one tab for Snowflake, and one tab for Git. Step one is logging in. So we're going to log into DBT Cloud, and it's automatically going to push you into our workflow of how to complete a project setup. It is going to give you a default name for your project of Analytics. You can totally change this if you want to. We think it's a pretty great name. If you wanted to change it, just give it the name you want and click Update. Next, we're going to provide a warehouse. In this instance, we're going to use Snowflake. Hit Next. And this is where DBT is going to ask you for some additional information in order to connect to Snowflake. Before you even get started, please make sure you read this sentence. It's essentially telling you that DBT Cloud will always connect to your warehouse from these 3 IPs. Make sure to allow inbound traffic from these IPs in your firewall, or else you're not going to be able to connect DBT to your warehouse of choice. So the first thing we're going to do is give our account information. We can actually grab this from the URL. So let's jump back over into Snowflake. You can see here that it provides the region, AWS or a cloud provider, and then the account ID. So we're going to grab the account ID, grab the region, as well as the cloud provider. Next, we're going to provide the database. This will be the database where you would like to store your transform data. For me, that's Analytics. For the warehouse, this is going to be the warehouse that you want DBT users to use for developing DBT models. For me, that's transforming. Last one, the role. This will be the role that I want all developers to default to. For me, that's transformer. All right, as far as the warehouse information, we've given everything that we need to. Now let's focus on the development credentials. We have multiple different auth methods here, but for simplicity, we're going to do username and password. This is where you're going to provide the username and password that's associated with your warehouse, essentially what you use to log into Snowflake. So let me give that information really quickly. The next part is the schema. DBT automatically is going to fill this out for you with DBT _ my first initial last name. You can change this if you want, or you can follow this pattern. Let's go ahead and test that connection. It should be super fast. If it's taking a long time to load, that most likely means that you filled something out incorrectly, and it'll let you know exactly where that error has occurred. Let's go ahead and click Next. The next thing we want to do is connect our Git repository. In this instance, we are going to click GitHub. And let's go ahead and connect our GitHub account. This will bring you to an authorization page to authorize access by DBT Cloud to your GitHub account. Don't worry, we will select specific repositories in a moment. This does not give global access to your GitHub account. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Authorize DBT Cloud. And you will be returned to the project setup flow screen. Now we need to determine which repositories we want to grant DBT Cloud access to. Click Configure GitHub Integration. And this is where you can click Only Select Repositories. From here, pick this repository of choice. This is what I made in the previous video of DBT, our DBT project. I'm going to click Install. And this is going to kick us back to the original flow. Now, if I click on GitHub, you'll see that now I can see the repository that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And we're done. We've configured our DBT project. Now let's get to the really fun stuff. We're going to take this one step further by initializing our project so that everybody is using the same code within Git. So let's start developing in the IDE. This might take a few seconds. It's essentially going to clone our repository, so we have a great starting point. All right. So let's do step 1, which is to initialize our DBT project. We're going to click on that button, and it's automatically going to create this folder structure for us. You can go ahead and click into any of these folders if you like to see what exactly DBT is created. But in this instance, I'm just going to click commit and push. You can give it a fun little message if you like to. In this instance, I'm just going to say that I have initialized the project. All right. And now you can see that DBT is automatically asking me to create a new branch. If I look up here, it'll show me what branch I'm on. And it shows you that I'm on the main branch, which now is marked as read only. This is because DBT is protecting this branch and preserving it as our source of truth. The only way to start transforming is to create a new branch. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to toggle into GitHub. And we're going to click on the repository that we just made. And from here, you can see that that folder structure that we had just initialized now exists within our DBT project repo. At this point, you are all set to start developing with DBT Cloud after successfully connecting to Snowflake and GitHub. One final step to triple check that everything is working as expected is to run a few commands within the IDE or your development space. So let's go ahead and jump back over into the IDE. And in order to do this, we are going to click into the command line here, and we're going to do a DBT run. By executing a DBT run, DBT is triple checking that the connection that you provided with it while you were configuring your project is correct. If you got an error here, that means that you most likely provided the wrong information. In this example, we've seen success, which means that everything is working as expected. Now, what's really cool is that DBT has just persisted some of these models that exist within this model folder here of my first DBT model and my second DBT model in Snowflake. Let's see what it did. Sorry, Zoom is getting in the way. If I click into Snowflake and I click into databases or analytics, I now see that I have my DBT underscore first name or first initial last name. And within it, I have my first model and my second model. All right, that's everything. We have successfully run a DBT run, and we have fully configured DBT Cloud with Snowflake and GitHub. You're all ready to get started. Amazing job, and we'll talk to you soon.